So the next segment here is we are going to talk about a panel here. The only difference is that in most of the panels that we have done in the past, people tend to agree with everything that one guy says. That, hey, dal mein namak padna chahiye? Everybody says yes, 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 yes. But maybe you can add some dalchini also. And how about adding some little sugar for taste? People who are Bengali and Gujarati would know that. So that's the point, right? We thought maybe we should just like shake things up a bit, right? I mean, people have opinions, and let us just see if we can bring out the Arnab Goswami in them in some way, right? Hopefully it will be civil. If it's not, we'll of course learn a lesson and move on from here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to basically put the creators of customer success products and the users of customer success products into a discussion where they can actually take sides. They may take the same side. Bad luck for you guys. If they take different sides, it'll be entertaining. And let's see some fireworks. So I looked at the group of people. I said, okay, who do I pick up for this kind of a discussion? Because they need to be open to say things. And they should also know each other so that they will not take offense. Ki tumne aisa kaise bol diya yaar. So we looked at the whole gamut of CS folks here. And we came up with a bunch of folks here. So I'm going to introduce them in pairs, of course. The first pair I'm going to introduce to you is going to be, please don't come on stage immediately. I'll tell you when to come. There is a music, there's a cue, there are things we planned last night. We have to execute that properly, right? So the first pair that I'm going to present in front of you is going to be Shri and Atma. And okay, so unfortunately for Shri and Atma, it could not have been an interesting pair than this because Atma is standing in as Spider-Man in Avengers, and Shri is standing in as Thor. Now, just a couple of minutes back here, Spider-Man got the most votes and Thor got the least votes. So please welcome Shri and Atma. Shri is a great friend, is building this beautiful product called Rocketlane, and Atma is the head of CS for MoEngage. All right, can we have our very good friend Ankit? So people who don't know Ankit, shame on you. Ankit is the person who has built the entire CS community here, and he's going to give a small token of Avenger stuff for these guys. And we all hope that hammer would be put to good use. And we'll see if the Spider-Man can defend himself from that, all right? So that is Shri and Atma. Thank you very much, guys, for being on the show. So next group of people I'm going to introduce are, again, please welcome again Sreedhar, and with Sreedhar it's going to be Swathi from Darwinbox. He's Senior Director for Customer Success. So please welcome Sreedhar first. He's playing Iron Man. He spoke about AI so much, so please go ahead. And Swathi is playing Black Panther. All right, and finally, of course, I've got Manoranjan from ex-Whatfix, of course. Now he's building a beautiful CS tool called AppEQ.ai. Please welcome Manoranjan, also who goes by the name Mano. Mano is an absolutely lovable person. He's the kind of guy who you meet, you want to hug. All right? Baki LinkedIn mein padh lena yaar. I mean, I'm not giving them their bios of how many years of experience, how many $1 million of ESOPs. That is for you to figure out yourself. Manoranjan, please, from AppEQ. And with him, Manoranjan is playing Captain America. So please come over on stage. And with him, I have to please give it up for the only guy who looks like his part very much, Hulk, played by Amitt, who is the CCO of GoKwik. Please on the stage, please. So what we're going to do here is, this format is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. The format is, we will have one question that will come out on the big screen here. For each question, we have one index speaker from the creator side and one index speaker from the user side. You get 3.5 minutes. If you take 4 minutes, we will frown, but we'll not stop you. All right? You can argue your position on that particular topic with as much passion and fervor you have got. And if you can use the hammer, it will be an added bonus for all of us. All right? So, and then once you have spoken, the other team gets to respond with 4 minutes. Till that time, rest of the people will just hold their breath, listen to that. That's the hammer, and the thunder that Thor delivers. See that we have also got sound effects. All right, so, and then after that, we will all get 1 minute each to weigh in into the point, and we'll close that one question and then move on to the next one. Is that format clear to everybody else? These people, of course, have been clear. They've been on Zoom call with us, so we know them. They know that. All right, great. So, Nikita, thunders and crash. First question, what is that? Is that there should be one product, one solution, which will handle all the way from customer onboarding, all the way till customer management, advocacy, and steady-state customer success. Now, we thought it would be great to put these people in front because Sri is building a beautiful onboarding solution called Rocketlane. It's world's one of the best. They have just had $1 million quarter. This solution is blowing everything out of the water. So we would want to know what Sri's opinion is. Sri will get 3 minutes on the clock, and then Atma, you have 3 minutes on the clock. All right? Sri.
Hello, is this working? All right, perfect. I need half a minute before the 3 minutes.
You have
I just
it.
want to say
You
a
have
couple
it.
of things. Yeah. One, amazed by the production quality of this event, right from the introduction video to... Right. And two, I have a question for Sreedhar, which he can answer when he's, when it comes to his turn, which is just, every time an event like this happens, do you have tears in your eyes for what you've created as a, I'm just, because we did a onboarding conference, and at the end of it, when I was trying to give like my closing talk, just seeing there were like 1,000 people attend the conference, I could not speak. I was like, wow. And for you to have created a whole category, I don't know what it feels like, so just curious. I'm gonna jumping to the answer, right? I think, firstly, I would say, if it is, there is no one answer over here. It's always, it depends, right? So the reason it depends is because if there is one team doing customer success and onboarding, and if the onboarding is simple enough, there's an answer for that, which is maybe it's good enough to use a CS tool, which can do both. But if you have a serious onboarding motion, which has like a mid-market or enterprise audience, it's going to take 2 months to finish that implementation project. Then firstly, you need to have two teams, an implementation team or a professional services team and a customer success team. Don't expect the same team to do both. And I know customers, prospects who did not buy us last year saying, no, I need one tool, then split their team eventually knowing they could not manage that, ended up going for two teams and two tools accordingly. Because every team needs a purpose-built tool. There is no escape from that, right? Otherwise, you'll just have only CRM. Everyone can do customer success also in CRM, onboarding also in CRM. And truly, it's, to me, the biggest example of impact when you use the proper tool for each thing. For example, we just are going through a large implementation for a customer, and it's a 2-month implementation. It's our largest customer. After month 1, they did a $120,000 upgrade while the implementation is on. So my belief is expansion starts at onboarding, and the only way you can make that impact happen is by using the right tool to do that implementation project, which inspires trust, helps you hold the customer accountable to timelines, and sort of helps you run a tight implementation shop, right? And that experience cannot be delivered if you're trying to do everything in one tool, either in the CRM or in the customer success tool itself. You need something purpose-built. That's my take.
Mr. Atma, respond to that. Respond to that. See what I said.
So Manasij did mention he would be taking this persona on the Zoom call. I want to break character to let you know that we use Rocketlane. We love it. So whatever I'm saying, Sri, don't hold it against me. Because I strongly believe specialized teams need specialized tools. My implementation team uses Rocketlane, CS team uses that tool, and my support team uses Zendesk. But anyway, going back to the character, so because I have to argue against my personal stance, I came prepared. I have 3 points and 1 minute each for each. And the 3 points are single view, customer life cycle view, and the third point is customer flywheel, right? And I'll explain what each one of these is. Single view is very important, and especially in this, again, Sri, don't hold this against me. In this day and age, when there are threats coming to you, especially from migration accounts. So you would have taken an account from a competition, and I see some of the faces from my competing products. I will not hold against you, but welcome to this event. But the point is, there is a lot of churn that happens during the onboarding as well, right? So what that means is, as a CS leader and my boss as a CEO would like to have a single view of where that drop-off is, what is that leaky bucket, what is a complete picture of, to Sri's point, revenue that we are making from onboarding customers versus where is the whole gap, and if usually there are tools are distributed and separated in that customer life cycle. Yeah, I understand sales is different from CS because once the sales happens, at least in MoEngage, the way we operate is once a customer is signed, then it is all us. So there has to be a single view of what's happening with the customer, right? So that's the single view I was talking about, right? The second thing that I was talking about is customer life cycle. So what I mean by that is more often than not, in a B2B SaaS organization, onboarding is not a single time event. So it's a phased-wise onboarding, particularly for organizations like ours, where there are multiple channels, multiple products to be sold. We have to bring back the customer to onboarding, say 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, 5 years down the line if we have an innovative product introduced after 5 years. And then for a CS leader like me to switch the company from Rocketlane to my CS tool and CS tool to Rocketlane is a bit confusing. So that whole customer life cycle, I would rather have it in a single tool. And the third component, which I also alluded to in my first comment, and Sri was also talking about, is the customer flywheel, right? So what a customer flywheel is, and you would all the CSMs who are now being asked to bring CSQLs, that's the new nightmare for all CS people, self-included. So the flywheel works in such a way that, hey, you have to bring in leads, and then you need a relationship angle to it, and then you need again, the whole lead process that executes, right? There is a qualification, there is a band, right? Is there a budget? Is there an authority? Is there a need? Is there a timeline? And if you are having multiple teams, number one, usually, again, this is the maturity of my organization right now. To me, implementation team is a very specialized team that operates to make sure the customer is successfully onboarded on the account, educated, and implementing their vision and moving out. So if there is a CSQL, I don't expect my implementation team to run with it. There has to be a CS intervention, and imagine if there were different tools. So these are the 3 reasons why I think there shouldn't be different tools. Again, Sri, sorry, that's not my stance. It's only for the sake of argument.
Or better integration, which is his feature request, which we will deliver on.
As the crowd witness, I have a request for Sri for better integration.
All right, now thanks a lot, index speakers. Now let me start from the left with Swathi first, then we'll go to Sreedhar, and then back and forth. We'll end with Mano, you, okay? You have 1 minute on your clock.
Okay. I think I agree with Sri actually. I quite think that we have to move towards specialized tools. We cannot function as a tool that operates at a certain level which is not optimal or superior and does not really realize the value of everything that needs to be delivered. So I quite feel that we need to have specialized tools. If we are looking at categories getting created and they're becoming highly specialized, we have to be okay with operating between tools, working and creating better integrations, and having people okay with creating structures where data does transfer from one tool to another. Thanks to the subject you have given me, I think I'm going to contradict myself in the next question, but I'll do this for now.
That sounds pretty good. Can we pass the mic to Sreedhar, please? Sreedhar, your turn.
I already have this. So there's been a perennial question where, like Sri said, you could pretty much build everything into Salesforce. Custom objects, AppEQ code, Visualforce. You pretty much build everything into Salesforce. And Salesforce uses that against Gainsight and everybody else that they compete with. Salesforce competes with everybody, by the way. So they're never your friend. They're always an enemy because it's a platform, right? That talks about platform as a construct, right? As a company grows, or a category grows, there's always a forces of consolidation. And then over a period of time, so the consolidation starts with the same argument in terms of single point of view. That's the number one argument that comes up all the time. Every single time there is an argument for consolidation, one tool, the biggest argument is around one point of view. One view, one report that gets all data in one place. That's the argument, right? So I start off as a point solution. I'm successful. Then I add one more product. After some time, I add a third product. Now I'll start talking about the platform play, all of a sudden, right? So we all talk about whatever is suitable for us at a point in time. There are arguments to be made for both sides, like both of you have mentioned, all three of you have mentioned.
Thank you very much. Hulk, what do you think?
I think since we're talking very aspirational stuff like what if it was the case, it would be amazing to have a single consolidated tool where you do everything, right? The reason is straightforward. As a CS leader, you don't want to keep always being like how Modi ji is in election mode. You don't want to be in buying mode. I hate going to my CFO every time and ye iske paise de do, ab uske paise de do, right? I don't want to do that. So that's one. I buy something, I build consensus, and then I live with it, point one. Point two, I think it's rather easy for the success manager to be the single point of contact if he or she is the single point of contact, which means the dashboard you open, the plane that you open to see everything. Because it's the success manager who's supposed to be doing this at many organizations, maybe not all. Advocacy, yes, most of the time. And sometimes in the RASI of things, if you're not responsible, you're maybe accountable. If you're not accountable, you're consulted, right? So you do need that view. It's easy to get that view, if everything is in one place rather than all scattered. Caveat, yes, the use cases might be multivariate. So somebody who's trying to build something like this has to then cater to these different use cases at depth. That's the only caveat.
Terrific. Mano, you have the last words for this round.
I think I hear both the cases and would probably have to say that, okay, both I equally agree because it's a real challenge for a person who have to deal with the accounts. I need to have that, the whole understanding of the accounts. And while on the other hand, you have specialization that is required for us to run efficiently and for teams to understand that, hey, when I come today, what are the things that I need to do and so on. So there is a special purpose tool that is required for me for my role, for me to be efficient. Now, how do you reconcile these two in your organization is what is the interesting chapter I guess we are in today. We have this large platform companies like who are trying to consolidate, and obviously I think that innovation that's happening on this very pointed and 10x much better pointed solutions that are being built for that particular new role that comes up, I think that is not going to stop. And this race is just, it's going to happen. So I think that's the reality that we have to accept. And for the customer success, definitely I think one tool, as a customer success manager, I vote for it. I think they should have it. Their life will become easier. But as a tool developer, I would say that, how do we kind of enable this for the ecosystem, right? How do we enable, while still specializing, give them enough, make it easier for them?
Great, thank you very much. My job is to be the neutral, debate holder, but as you know, we have all seen television debates, nobody's neutral. My thoughts about is this very simple. There is no one machine which can do both TV plus fridge plus AC plus washing machine. I wish there was one machine. It would have been absolutely fantastic. I tend to believe that there should be different tools for different solutions. I think Rocketlane is a great onboarding solution. There are also lovely onboarding solutions for you to look at. For CS, there are fabulous tools out there. I think they should stick to what they do best. And it's a question of leaders to make sure they can use both the things to actually make best of it. You know, you can be for or against a coalition government, but they do deliver. So sometimes it's not a bad idea to not be forever in election mode. All right, great. Thanks a lot for the first round. Nikita, thunders and crash in the second question, right up there. Okay. So that's the first question. All right, this is Swathi going against Sreedhar. And here the point is quite simple. See, customer success solutions are inherently complicated tools. They have to aggregate data from a whole bunch of other solutions, like ticketing solutions, ticketing solutions, feature request solutions, invoice solutions, CRMs, product usage. And the implementation for CS tools takes a long time. The motion on the table is that it is not the problem of the customer success tool which makes the implementations long. It is the companies who are adopting those customer solutions. Their data remains unclean, which makes it difficult for the CS tools to implement so quickly. That is the motion that we have. And we're going to start with Sreedhar, you, sir.
Okay.
And one quick point, panelists, please know the mic works best when you keep it like 2 inches from your lips. That's the best way, right? Great, thank you.
Sure. So this topic is really, really close to my heart. I've seen it firsthand with several hundreds of customers, multiple varieties, variations, and all that. I can say with confidence that data is at the heart of ineffective customer success motions. It's at the heart of it. The second thing, data is in silos. It's in different applications. And unless you are able to get this data together in one place, in one repository, it's going to be a problem. Okay? Let me make it a bit more concrete. Let's say you've got your data about your customers in Salesforce, list of accounts, and there is a pick list field that says that, okay, here is a customer, okay? Good. Now, let's say you want to get, okay, what is the sentiment of these customers? Who are happy, who are not happy? Let me use a simple example, Net Promoter Score survey that we do, and it's there in SurveyMonkey. That's what we have been using, or Survey Sparrow, be my guest, any survey tool, okay? Now, surveys are being sent to an email address, a person, and that person has to be connected back to this account. This account might have 1,000 users or 100 users, varies. So how do you connect that email in SurveyMonkey to the customer record? I'm taking a trivial example. This example may seem very simple, but there's a lot of instrumentation that has to happen for this one, right? Extended. Okay, I use Freshworks for my support ticketing data. You know what? We use Freshworks in this geo, we use Zendesk in this other geo, or we use Jira for something else. Okay? Now for that account, you want to get, okay, how many support tickets does the customer have? How many are beyond the SLA? And how many feature requests do they have? And how long they are going? Some are in Jira, some are in Zendesk, some are in Freshworks. How are you going to get all of this data together? I know I'm going over time here. I'm not trying to pitch any product or anything.
Go ahead. You have the floor.
This is a fundamental problem that CSMs do not necessarily relate to, or they don't necessarily think through deeply. Okay, you might be using Gainsight, Totango, or ZapScale, name it. The problem remains the same. The problem is not the tool. There is data, and this data is in different silos. How are you going to connect it? And this is a multi-step process, by the way. So step one of the process itself is about what are my identifiers? How do I say this set of tickets are related to this customer? This set of feature requests are related to this customer. These survey responses are from this customer. You need some way to connect it. Okay? Now, a CS tool provider can tell you that, okay, you are expected to do it all on your side. You sort it out. You load the data, then I'll do it for you. Okay, that's one plausible way, and some companies do it. So you are expected to figure out this mapping issues across these different systems and bring it in. Okay? Or you provide a platform which can do it for you. Okay? In that case, you as the CSM or the person who has purchased, you are expected to understand Jira exports, how does it look like? And all things that's engineering controlled, by the way. It's not CSM controlled. And then there is data in Freshworks, how is that going to come? And there's data in SurveyMonkey, marketing uses it for something, and CS teams use for something else. You figure out how the data is, get it into a spreadsheet, or spreadsheets won't work.
CSVs.
Pardon me?
The most common term is CSVs these days here. But,
Yep.
but the same point.
Yep, CSVs is like different types of data, right? I have not talked about the hardest problems. Hardest problems are about product adoption. For Darwinbox, I don't know what you're doing. So you have got payroll data, which is
a question I have to answer here, so I'm okay with
You don't have to. I am your lawyer. You don't answer that question.
I'm so glad I don't.
That's fine.
So this is a question like, I'm not taking any vendor perspective here. This is a problem that you all would be dealing with as you speak right now. And there are very, very few people that I have seen who do it well. And it has to be a deliberate process. And you need to have some people who understand data, which really means that are the engineers. These are not people who write code, but who understand data, who can write queries, and they understand how the relationships between data and stuff. Seems very technical, right?
No, it's not. It's actually quite a great point. How about you? Please respond to what Sreedhar has to say.
Okay, so it's tall order to not agree with what has been said, but I strongly believe that there is another side to it. And I'm extremely passionate about the other side of it. And we have spoken for hours together about this.
I remember those calls, yes.
Yeah. So I think there are a couple of things a tool needs to do. And today the biggest challenge is it is a combination of those that most tools fail to do. One is be able to integrate. All of us like to say that seamless integration will happen. When I'm selling, ye integrate ho jayega. All your data will flow. Nobody knows what data is going to flow when, and more interestingly, what kind of data will flow and look like what in the new system. So while we'd like to believe that all systems are supposed to be seamless, I don't think that's our reality today. I'm very, very sorry though for saying this. But I completely believe that that is where we are today. We are a little far away from saying that data will flow seamlessly, integration will work. Second problem is the tool's ability to understand the nuances of the data that is flowing in. Does the tool have the capability to treat invoices outstanding differently from JIRAs, differently from AppEQs that are open? I am yet to see a tool that understands these data points differently and treats them differently. The third problem is qualitative data. How does a tool capture qualitative data? What frameworks do the tools today have to capture qualitative data? We still have quantitative data, very easy. Integrate, whatever will flow, but we'll deal with it. That's another problem. And the last point I have to say is, personally, I have been very unhappy with most of the tools I have seen and used in my own past. A tool's ability to use a combination of qualitative and quantitative data to actually spill out the intelligence that we want, because we like to see everything on a screen, and let's face it, that's the reality that we need today. I do really want one screen, one interface to see what is happening across my customer base, but I don't know if we have the intelligence to put all of this together and reflect what we call a health score for a client, what we call a happy client. So I do believe that I don't think tools have still cracked this set of problems.
Terrific. Thanks a lot for that, Swathi. It goes back to the lovely, long chats that we have had. And they've always been educating. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I've always gone back to all of you guys to get feedback about what we're building. Anyway, Shri, how about, where do you stand on this point?
I definitely feel tools can do a better job. I understand that tools can't solve all the problems, but we ourselves struggled with, putting a CS solution in place, tying the data together. I think, at least now, given the advancements in AI, I think just plug in everyone claims to have the integrations, but when you plug it in, there must be more fuzzy logic to determine which account each thing belongs to. There can be more options to just, confirm things that, okay, you confirm this belongs over here, and do that mapping in a smart way. There needs to be smart, intelligence around the qualitative content when someone replies to a ticket or all of that. The sentiment and engagement needs to be captured. And I feel tools can do a better job. Maybe there are some, maybe ZapScale is doing it, we need to see, but there's, I believe there is scope for tools to do a lot more heavy lifting than today. I do understand that it takes some serious data chops and some engineering chops to get this all lined up, and the companies that have the resources do end up doing a good job of bringing the tools together, but most of us are starved for those resources, and hence the tool needs to do the heavy lifting if the tool needs to be successful. Otherwise, in a year, people will churn from the tool.
Great, thank you very much. Atma, we'll get to you, sir. You will get your chance to speak, I'm for sure.
Yeah, so I think the stance that I prepped for was very similar to Sri, so I don't know if it is for or against. But the point that I was preparing for is I think it's the tool's job, not the company's job, right? And unlike the character that I'm representing, I'm not 20 years old, right? So when I started, when I was in engineering, and please don't look up when Ubuntu was cool, but Ubuntu was cool when I was in engineering, right? So that was the time where we had these new PCs with large towers, and we got Ubuntus, and it was cool to run your own OS. And now if I tell my niece that there was such thing, she'll look at me and say, you're stupid. Why did you not use Mac, right? So the reason I brought that example is, now we are quickly taking the coolness out of doing the hard work. So it's no longer cool to do the hard work. It's not cool for CS leaders to spend thousands of hours on data integration. I don't know if Ankit is still here. He is my ops guy. He spends considerable amount of time every month on reconciling data, and that is his complaint. He doesn't give me tool solutions. He wants to hire more people. I don't know why, but the point is, especially with CS, right, in context, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't have a tool that is integrating the right data, say for example Zendesk, and if a customer has continuously given low CSATs, and my CS tool is not talking to Zendesk, it's a churn for me. And then later on, I could do thousands of hours of RCA and then realize that, oh shit, they had a terrible support experience. Not saying that happens with MoEngage, just giving you an example, but I can go back and say that there is a terrible experience with the customer and that's why they've lost. I would have realized that sooner if there was data integration. So my stance is, whoever is building the tools, if you are not doing so already, the first thing that you should do whiteboard is how do I get data from all sources, implement cognitive AI tools or predictive. I relate with you, Sreedhar. I'm, I think, closer to your timeline than there. So we had predictive, then we had prescriptive. Now they are saying cognitive. Whatever TIV you want to use, please use it. But give us intelligence around this customer is going to churn.
That's what I want to see. Like, मेरे को बना के दो, मेरे को फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Huh.
Right. So on that note, I want to bring in Mano because Mano is building AppEQ, and Mano, I'm going to use 2 minutes to tell you what the folks. So imagine if you could open your email and you saw your customer say MoEngage, Atma writing an email to you, and if you just click on that, AppEQ can tell you immediately what is their health, what has been their last tickets, what has been their last usage, last time they talked to you. So it basically speaks to the heart of this problem. Like, how do I gather all the data from different places and then show that to you? The guys here are saying that do a better job. Please tell me, Mano, that you have.
Yeah, I think there are 2 problems for data. I think one is, of course, how do we gather all the part? I think that's more of an engineering problem. It is definitely doable. Then the second problem is your data structure, which because your business is also evolving, your team is evolving, it keeps on changing. You have new fields, you have new drop downs, and so on, right? So that also keeps on evolving. So how does your tool, is it capable enough to kind of absorb that change in a very seamless way? Because a lot of times, if you, when I was in Whatfix, just like you said, the number of headcounts keeps on increasing on the CS ops. The same thing happened, right? CS ops, sales ops, the number keeps on increasing, and all they do is talk to each other, right? Between them, sales ops says one number, CS ops says one number, right? So yeah, so how do we make the tool more easy for all the types of data? Some of the data will be like in the spreadsheet. Some of the data will be something which you are using the tool for maybe a very short period of time, but it's still important, right? So can whatever tool that you use be more flexible to get this data inside? And then as your business also develop and change, can your tool also be smarter enough to kind of change along with you? So these are the two things I would say that from the data, because there is always this thing telling that, okay, I as a CS leader will say that, okay, I'll bring in the tool when I completely understand how my data structure is going to be, what kind of process I'm going to do. And I don't think it is ever going to happen. Tomorrow something new is going to come and you have to evolve, right? So, I guess, the tool has to definitely do a better job. And it's for us to solve that.
I like you, Mano, for just this fact that you're so humble. You keep telling that we need to do a better job. Sir, the incredible Hulk has to speak now.
See, it's very difficult to disagree that the data problem persists. I mean, it was there earlier, 10 years ago. It's even there now. I think I've seen, speaking from a success manager's standpoint, I've seen that there is focus, there needs to be focus on two different parts of the problem that we're solving. One is what I typically like referring to as the early warning. Like things have not happened yet, but something will happen, right? And the other thing is how much of what is happening is getting captured so that then you learn, everybody else learns from that, like a data model, like how you do modeling. I think there is scope on these two fronts and a bigger scope, and then it varies from one organization to the next. Like for example, depending on whether your platform SaaS or performance SaaS as a company, you might look at certain early warning indicators of churn differently. At one place where it's a platform SaaS, while adoption is a problem, at performance SaaS, the KPI is not moving the way they should after your product gets adopted is a problem, right? So anybody who's trying to solve this problem needs to stay up to the neck with what's the exact use case. Now, which is why the logic that goes into how you're going to use your data has to be very superior and be able to handle all of these, right? So if you think you have access to data and the problem gets solved, no. You still need that solid logic and which will actually help you solve this when you go into the circle of 5 whys. You need data. Why? Why do you need data? You say something and then there's another why. And then the same level of empathy has to be built across the org at your company, right? Because more often than not, people who are responsible to make the data available don't really know why you need that data, right? I find that sometimes to be a big blocker. Like in all of our companies, we are all tech companies, we have functions and orgs, which are the gatekeepers and keepers of data, right? But then they are doing the bigger, better things, right? So they need to be, when you onboard a tool, they need to be in the room as well, right? As first party.
It's a fair point. Thanks a lot for all the lovely inputs on this. And I completely agree with you, Sreedhar, that at some point we should do a deeper dive on this particular topic, because this is one of the most important topics to solve. And I'm going to let you have the last words for this.
Yeah, this one topic, I think, just leave out the vendor angle of it. But you as CSMs, this is something that you really want to get deeper into and build your understanding. It helps you. It helps you a ton. Okay, we just scratched the surface in terms of what do these data challenges mean. There's some practices that you would want to know about. What are other people doing and how can you improve on it? I think you should do a focused.
We will absolutely do a deep dive on this, because this was one of the defining problems that I thought we were trying to solve while I was building ZapScale. So anyway, so thanks a lot for your inputs. With the last question on the board, we will this time we will start with Manu for sure. And the point here is the question that we have here. So I've got the nicest guy here against the most vocal chap, let's say that way. Is that fair, Amitt? Is that okay to say? All right, cool. So, all right, Nikita, can you put the question up? Okay.
Whatever you say. You're sponsoring this.
Yeah, well, I'm actually technically not. But thank you very much any which ways. All right, so the question here is, basically the question is, when do you introduce a CS tool into your organization? Is it like after $1 million of revenue or 25 customers? Like, what is the point? Is CS tool one of those tools that have to be there from the word go itself, or it can take some time to find its way into it? I'm going to let Manoranjan start the proceedings, and then it will be Amitt.
Yeah, I think, in the question, if you see, I guess, I'm not sure whether it's going to be 1 million.
1 million, whatever number.
I think the question is, when do you introduce, your CS tool, right? In the early stage, what are the problems that the organization, especially, who is starting to deploy a customer success team, what are they solving at that point of time? So, I would imagine that organization firstly has some customers who have paid and they have started using the customers. The customers have started using the product. So there is a time where probably you are building the product with certain hypotheses and it's still in the PMF state. You can say, yeah, the selling cycle has been done, but is there are people going to renew the next year? So that is the kind of question that you are trying to answer at this stage. So from that point, the requirement, if I were to break down, right, first is obviously you need a system of records. You need somewhere to kind of say that, okay, these are my list of customers. Can I do certain segmentation of the accounts that we have, our sales team has been able to get, and be able to understand that, this is the cohort which actually is doing really great, and these are the cohorts which are probably not doing so great, right? So that even later, your whole sales, marketing, and so on kind of starts becoming more focused. So system of record is one of the key requirements at that stage. So you will require some level of, somewhere you will have to store this, whether it's a CRM, whether it's a spreadsheet. I'm sure Amitt is going to say that spreadsheet is all that. Or somewhere you have to do that. And the second is not so tool related, but also equally important is at this stage is where you start building a software component which is called the culture. You can say, we always say that we need to be customer-centric organization. And when does it start? You can't start later in the stage of your thing, right? You have to start early on. So you need to have some level where you start driving some level of consistent, you can say, hygiene practices. Something wherein you say that, okay, you are supposed to do so-and-so during onboarding, when a customer comes in, and so on, right? When the sales wins a deal, you have to do certain two steps, 3 steps, and so on. Certain hygiene you would want to start uh, you know, developing initially, both from a practice level as well as why that is required in the organization. Obviously, that steps can evolve over a period of time, but I think it needs to be started early on. Okay, so that is the second point I would say that, saying, and all of this, these 2 points, obviously there are different ways of achieving, whether you do it through a tool, like I said, it's a spreadsheet or thing. But if you have something like a purpose build, which is like customer success tool kind of says that, okay, has encapsulated those best practices and have done it for you, have done it for you, then I guess, it is a big lift for you. And a lot of times why I think I would say that it's important is for the founder, they may not have the CS practice at that point of time, right? Or they may not have the VP of customer success at that point of time. So if you have a tool who actually does most of the best practices and say, so I would say that, that would be a good way to start. Obviously, that may not be your, the tool that you will say that I will carry on forward for a long time, but it will help you initially. You can always change it.
Mr. Amitt, he says adopt early. What do you think?
A short while ago, Manasij is like, keep it short, because he doesn't want me to be a big detractor of tools and say spreadsheets work. But I'll try to humor him. So I think, again, deep down inside, I do believe that tools play the role, and it's not such a bad idea to have, a North Star, like try to keep yourself organized and stuff like that. However, for sake of argument, and because I must speak against it, I have no shame in admitting that I still use spreadsheets, the beginning of the day, end of the day, and everything else in between. Color-coded, as Atma said. Okay. So now the thing is, point one, in a startup, right, and in the garb of hustle, CSMs have to run around all over the place, and your focus on relationship as a lever, which is a code word for making your customers eat, drink, and be merry so that you can retain them, is rather high, right? So in this process, it's difficult for you to, go back, enter information, and so it becomes an overhead. Nobody likes it. You people, in a startup, really early people, like playing more, without rules. And with a CRM in there, you have to go enter stuff. To be, no data means you can't get anything out of it, kind of a thing. So that's a big blocker. Second thing is the scope is very elastic. One day you are the janitor, the next day you are the sales guy, the third day, you are the CEO of the company as a success manager. So when the scope changes time and again, it's rather unfair to expect the tool change its scope so much, right? When you mature over a period of time, this is my job. So the tool you use to do your job can be a bit more standardized, right? Then, point number 3 here is, most of us, at least I have struggled. The reason, on a serious note, why still on these spreadsheets is because I believe that everything that I need to see comes from human learning, machine learning, non-verbal cues, not having meeting cadences set, to invoices not getting paid on time, to a lot of things. I am yet to find a tool that can do a good early warning prediction for me. And I'm then left with a choice. Do I have something that I can't rely on 100% and sometimes have a false positive ruin my day? Or I would rather, not be comfortable, do it the, boring way, but at least be sure of what I'm looking at, right? At least I'm not struggling with data parity stuff. So those are the reasons why I would say, if I'm a Series A, seed, Series B, and by the way, I've done that multiple times, I like staying away from tools myself.
Very nicely argued. Thanks a lot for that. We go to Sreedhar next for your views.
So in my view, it starts with, if you're building a startup or working for a really, really early stage startup, probably it starts with CS thinking, where you need to make one of the founders a counterpart to this. CS thinking, what I really mean by it is that's where the data question starts getting answered. The most valuable data that you will ever require is going to be in your product. And is that product instrumented to get that data out? Right? So this is a part of a philosophy and a way of building product. And this is something that comes from founders. Without founder support, that's not going to happen. So that is CS thinking. Then you talk about CSMs as an employee who joins the company. CSM comes first, right? So even without having a CSM, founder is playing that role and has that thinking in terms of what is the data, what's my value delivery, how am I going to measure it? A founder should have a point of view. And if I'm going to measure my value of, okay, number of projects that customer has onboarded, I'm just using it as an example, am I instrumenting it to create a time series? Over a period of every week, over the past X number of weeks, how many projects were created by this tenant or this customer? I should have instrumentation for that. That's not going to happen without that CS thinking in the founders. Then the first CSM comes in. And that CSM is a helping hand to the founder in terms of dealing with more number of customers. Then the second CSM comes in. Then the third CSM comes in and so on. There is a point in time in your process that CS tool becomes important. That point could vary from a company to company. So I don't think 1 million would be the
It's a
right
placeholder.
rate.
It's just a placeholder.
So is it the number of customers? What if you're selling a $100 product and you have 1,000 customers or whatever? No. Or you have one customer who is paying you $1 million. Do you need a CS tool for that? Right. So just think about the way it's CS thinking, number of CSMs. As the number of people in the CSM team grows, there is a point in time which varies from company to company where you will start feeling a need for it too. That's when you go for it.
Excellent point. Thank you very much. Atma.
Yeah, so this is the only question where I agree with the stance that I take. Everything else I had to prepare. So I think CS is more an attitude and a value for a company than the tool, right? It's the nature versus nurture argument. And I think early stage startup founders, to Sridhar's point, should understand what is their strategy first. And I strongly believe, and again, to even Manasij's point, I think this is a placeholder. But I think for the first 25 customers, you as a founder are trying to identify the market product fit, customer behavior, product needs, engagement asks. There are so many things that you are trying to figure out. And you are still trying to evolve as a company, and if you try to, and to me also, depending on the nature of the service or product or platform, the tools vary also is a thought process that I have. And even before you figure out some of these basic ingredients that go into the selection process of a tool, if you go procure a tool, then in my mind you're trying to have that tunnel vision or rose glasses or whatever you want to call it to kind of operate like that, right? And not have a plan, right? So I think for an early stage company, it is first, to even Sridhar's point, the founders need to have the CS attitude and then try to understand what is it that they are trying to solve for which community or which group of users, personas, like we discussed before. So I think they should hold off on committing to a tool, so to speak, right? So that's my stance.
Thank you very much. That's beautifully argued. We go to Sri from Rocketlane for the final point of view from the creator side.
Biased point of view, but I feel irrespective of when you do CS tool, from day one, I don't know how many founders are here, you need to put the onboarding tool in place first. Before you get to renewal, you need to do a good job of holding the customer accountable to get them to value fast, right? So you need to run those projects well, and when CSM1 joins and starts taking over onboarding from the founder, the playbook is set in the tool. And the playbook can evolve easily. And becomes replicable as more people join. The CS tool you need, I think once the renewals start, right? By that time, hopefully you'll know whether you have PMF and renewals are really going to happen or not. Till then, I like Amit's approach of you at least need that spreadsheet. You need a CSM reviewing adoption usage on a regular basis. And that might be analytics product that the product team has put in. It might be a CS tool that does the magic well, where you're not spending time on setting it up, but it integrates well with CRM and subscription service and analytics. Just those three at least. And it might be that you're sort of reviewing every week what are new accounts that adoption has increased in, decreased in, or it may be an internal tool that you're looking at which says these are the accounts which is just throwing out accounts that are not using key features every week for the CSMs to sort of follow up on. At least that much is needed. And discipline and alignment from the founder is needed to make all of this work. And I'm guilty of the mistake of not putting in any of that in place for the first year. We had only onboarding because we were like, hey, if we do great onboarding, the customer will be successful automatically. But then stakeholder changes, something happens, we don't even notice when the usage goes down unless we have that practice of reviewing weekly or at least bi-weekly what's actually happening with the customers.
Fabulous. Swathi, you will have the last words for this panel. And I really thought that it should be you for the fact that, you have been very vocal about when to use a tool when we were speaking. And you were very clear that I should think very carefully which kind of organization I should go and speak to. So I thought you should have the last words about this one. So go ahead.
Thanks, Manasij. So I agree with a little bit of everything that's been said, but I'm guilty of using a spreadsheet. And quite a color-coded one at that.
Let me guess, red, yellow, and green?
Yeah. The right colors are very, very important. Yeah, the right saturation is very, very... Red is a very bad color to use.
Sure.
It just creates angst when you open it.
Fair enough. Please go ahead with your point.
Okay, so first I think the simple answer is you should get a sense of what is the right time in terms of do you know what you want to track? And do you have enough customers for whom seeing this data on a tool becomes important? And let's be very honest, right? We speak from a startup standpoint, we speak from a let's hustle standpoint, we speak from a bootstrap standpoint. So very early on, maybe money not being put to the most efficient use because you're always working with limited resources. But I do believe that as founders, as CS managers, as people in the operations space, if you are completely invested, your gut will tell you when it is the right time. You will know now is the right time because I know I have enough data and I know what data I want to start mapping the health. And I know I have a critical mass of customers to start making sense of a combination of these two. But honestly, I'm not a great fan of bring it in too early, especially in a bootstrapped space. I think spreadsheets do a decent job.
Spreadsheets are amazing. I agree with that. We all start our models with that. Thank you very much, panel. You were fabulous. We spent 1 hour, 10 minutes. It was supposed to be 40 minutes. But I could not stop any one of you guys. That's being a bad person who was doing the job. But thanks a lot for your point of views. It was so fun. And great to have you guys. Can we have a quick photograph here before, with your Avenger stuffs that we really came here on the Avengers platform. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. All right, so please give it a big hand, guys.